why I don't record, but I'm recording now. So we'll start this off. Talking presentation, show of hands. What are you planning to actually show in your course? So Kenton, we'll go with you first since you had the first hand raised.
Okay, I'm working on that right now. Yeah, I'm at Fredonia right now, and I'm turning my rhetoric content into PowerPoint. And so, in order for the student not to task switch as they are processing the input, I've been trying to have words on one slide and then visuals on the other slide for dual coding. So I will have a slide that I will share that is the words. I will let them write that down. We'll certainly talk about it afterwards, and then I'll put the picture up so they're not reading and me talking at the same time.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. Karen, what are you planning to share in your course?
Well, I'm teaching English Comp 1, and I think it's going to be pretty important, especially for this particular audience coming in, that they really understand how to navigate Blackboard. So okay. I'm going to be sharing my Blackboard screen a lot. Is that what you're asking, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, that works. That's absolutely fine. So you're going to share Blackboard. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, because they have trouble at least getting started. At least my students seem to panic, and they don't know how to navigate Blackboard. For some reason, they're afraid to hit buttons. So I want to really share a lot of Blackboard, especially at the beginning of the semester.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you want to make sure they're orientated to the different technologies. I think also in Zoom, you're going to want to have maybe some guiding instructions, guiding slides to teach them how to participate. Yeah, absolutely. So make sure that you do those things. Amber.
I teach math, so I'm going to be using the whiteboard a lot to just demonstrate how to solve problems.
Okay. So you've actually got a whiteboard that you're going to annotate on, correct?
Well, I'm probably using the whiteboard in Zoom.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
I think.
You think? Perfect.
Yeah.
And next week, we're actually going to focus more on annotation, the different ways that we can annotate, kind of doing things live. So, but very cool. So this strategy, what I'm doing is I have a slide, and I don't have the slide in presentation mode, but instead I have the slide just available and where I can make comments on it as I'm going. So right now, I'm asking you to participate in the chat, so we're doing that, and I'm trying to capture, what everybody is sharing. So, John Keating.
Hello. On the whiteboard, I was practicing with a friend, and on mine, I could get my whiteboard up, but they couldn't participate on the whiteboard. Was that something because of their system, or?
There's a setting in Zoom where you allow annotations from other participants.
All right, so I have to allow the.
Yeah, you're the host, so you're going to have to allow that.
So that was probably not blue or off, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on Blackboard, like Karen, I'll be using that. But when I open up something in Blackboard, does it immediately, when it's open, you say put in the toolbar, but does it also show up in the share screen where whiteboard is and everything? Because I started seeing it there also. Apps that files that I had opened were in my share screen. When I open that up,
Yeah, it could be. If you have one monitor, yeah, probably so. If you're sharing your screen, it'll show everything on your monitor.
Okay.
Right? If you're controlling it just to show an application, then it won't show those things that are opening. But, you know, I mean, and that's a good thing to, I guess, chat about right now is, so you have an option to show your screen. So if I show my screen, that is great. But, you know, here I go to my email while you guys are working on a session and I'm checking my email and you're like, hey, look, oh, I got a tech support thing. Oh, man. All right, I have to go check on that later. But you're able to see all that right now, too. If I was just to control it to the application, well, using a web browser and a web email, that doesn't matter. But if I was using Outlook, like in my office, I could keep those things separate and not accidentally show my mail. I can just show that. But at home, yeah, I have that running and stuff. So,
Okay.
Hey Stan, I have a quick question.
Ooh, yes.
Are you sharing with us a PowerPoint presentation right now?
I am sharing a Google Slide presentation.
A Google Slide presentation, but could it work as a PowerPoint where you could type in bullets in real time with a PowerPoint
absolutely.
if you shared that? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, what I could do is I will download this as a PowerPoint. And open up my PowerPoint. So you're probably seeing my PowerPoint open right now. So are you seeing my PowerPoint now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So doing the exact same thing, yeah. I like Google Slides, so I don't have to forget them on flash drives and stuff. I can just, anywhere I happen to be, I have it. Bob Ratterman, what are you sharing?
Hi, Stan. I'm sharing PowerPoints as well, but a question related to the share screen option. I wondered if anybody had a similar situation as I often encountered last semester, where I tried to share some documents that were uploaded and ready to be viewed, but for some reason, and I cannot remember the sequence, the screen popped up on my screen in terms of what I wanted to share, but the students couldn't see it. So I had to kind of like back out and reshare, and then they could. And I wish I could be more specific as to the sequence or why that happened. But maybe I was trying to open up too many things or share too many things or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say definitively, but I surmise that you were not necessarily sharing your screen, but an application. So if you open that new application up, they wouldn't see it. If you were sharing your screen, they should be able to see it.
Well, yeah, I wish I could be more specific as to what order I did this,
Sure.
But I can't remember.
Yeah.
But,
So,
I mean,
so one of the things that I learned, I get lost sometimes in what I'm sharing and what it's like, I have no idea anymore what I'm sharing. So I just do exactly what you did. Stop sharing, share what I want to share, start all over. So do not, don't ever fret about that. Just say, timeout, click. All right, we're back, we're rolling, so.
What I often end up saying is, do you guys see? And I'm saying that constantly because I want to make sure they see what I'm trying to show them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I've had it in presentations where I have not been showing anything. And it's like, hey, could you share your screen? Yeah, sure, I'd be happy to, and then go share the screen. So, yeah, a one way to kind of, if you want to control for that, is have a secondary device like an iPad that is also logged into the session, so you can take a glimpse and it's like, okay, I'm sharing the right stuff. So that's a way to take care of that. Who else has got something that they're sharing? So anybody sharing anything else? Oh, don't be bashful.
So I have an issue. I had the same issue that Bob had, so I would back out and come back in for sharing my screen. But I also would find that when I'm going to share the screen, my students would say my face would freeze because they like to see me talking when we're going over material, and that my face would freeze, and I don't know what does that.
It's really, so there's multiple reasons why that would happen. One is the power of your computer, right? If you have an older computer, the video card and the CPU may not have the horsepower in order to share that.
Okay.
But also how you are presenting, basically how you're connected to the internet. So if you are connected with Wi-Fi, right, it takes a lot of, that takes a lot of power to, it's a small pipe to kind of push all this information off. So what I'm connected to a wired connection. So mine is all wired, and it's definitely faster than my Wi-Fi. And so I don't have those breakdowns. So
I bet it's the connection, because where I live, we don't get any, well, Verizon, but they're terrible where we live. And so what I did was buy a different cell phone to use as a hotspot. So
yeah,
that would be the issue.
Yeah, that will be challenging.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, Wyoming had better broadband than Western New York. So, and they're out in the boonies. So very cool. So one of the other things to kind of consider as you're doing this is, if you are, I'm just gonna put this out there. If you're lecturing for a straight 50 minutes, that is, students will kind of zone out. They will, if you're just flipping through slides, they'll zone out. About every 5 to 10 minutes, have them do something, have them participate in something. For example, I started off with this slide asking you a question, and I'm capturing some of the input that you're providing to that. See if you can weave those slides into your presentation also. All right, so that way, just figure out how to switch it up. It could be a poll, it could be a slide like this, it could be, send them off to a breakout room. But if possible, try to not just lecture for 50 minutes. Get them involved. So, all right, no tomatoes coming my way. I think that's a good sign. So, so Carrie, we got some things sharing down here. Very nice. You guys are a sharing group. I appreciate that. Share YouTube videos, right? Also, yeah, it's part of the sharing is the students can share. So if they're doing student presentations, they can present through here. This is, I think it's a wonderful way. They can share their screen and present, give a presentation or a performance or what have you. If it's public speaking, maybe you have it where they don't have a slide, slides to support that, or in a more complex one, they do. Just, getting the students involved, that's absolutely cool. Sharing a YouTube video or a TED presentation, absolutely. And Carrie, also in-class activities, worksheets. So one of the, she's talking about share the Google Doc. They would also have it open on their screen. So you can, share your Google Doc to the entire screen, or a class. And as Kenton pointed out last time we were together, I could share the link in the chat and all of you could open it up at one time as opposed to typing it in. So I don't forget these things, right? I remember. So, so Bob, you had a question. Do you have to provide them for permission to share? Well, you have to provide them permission to work on it. So you have to make it whatever your Google Doc, you know, so they can edit it. So if you mean something else, jump on in and chat.
So what I usually do is whenever I share the URL, the share for the Google Doc, I change the last four in that URL, the last four words or the last four letters that say edit, and I put copy. So then it forces them to open up the Google Doc that I'm sharing, but they have to save it. They can't go in and change what it is that I have as the original, so that they save their own document to their own computer and they work on it themselves, have it for later use. You know, I tell them to make their notes. These are the things that they're going to review for tests, those kind of things.
Yep, absolutely. If you are just, you know, giving them a worksheet where each has their own, yeah, changing that to copy is a great strategy. If you're doing a collaborative thing, so for example, this presentation, there's no reason why I have to be the only one typing on it. That's crazy talk, right? So what I can do is anyone with the link, I can make an editor and copy the link and done, and throw it into the chat. So now everybody can jump on this. Oh, I just shared it with Heather. Sorry, Heather, sorry about that. I'll share it to everyone. And so now anybody can join this slide presentation, add notes and clarification while I'm presenting, matter of fact, which can get a little crazy, but it's something that you can certainly do. So, yeah. So one of the in my particular setup, I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to share something else. That way I can kind of show you what's going on. So I have my iPad, okay, and just kind of showing you how my setup is. I am going to share my iPad with you. Right, so let's go to camera view. So now I've turned this camera on. So I have two monitors. So on the left side, I have what I am sharing, you know, to the class, or what I was sharing. And then over here with this crazy view, I have, now you can see what I'm sharing in my iPad. But also, normally I have participants window and the chat running on my other monitor, so I can kind of keep an eye on both things. So if you can get two monitors, you can hook those up to laptops also. This will give you a lot more power as far as what you're seeing and what you're sharing. So, yeah. Quit making people sick. So, so that is certainly, I would recommend two monitors so you can control. You know, you just have more real estate. So you can keep an eye on the chat. You can see if people are raising their hands, things like that. So definitely, you know, having that participants window open and, you know, the chat, like I said, is useful. So April, she uses Kahoot quite often in class, but hasn't tried it on Zoom. Do it. Poll everywhere. That is another tool that you can use in the presentation mode. So this is kind of cool. Let me share my screen again. So this is a cool feature with your Google Slides. So let me go to my other slide deck here. This is what I have running at the beginning of the, before the presentation starts. But when I go to present, there's a little down arrow, and I can, you know, go to the presenter view. And part of that is audience tools. And let me see if I can get those up and running. So now there's a link at the top of my slides, and anyone can go to that particular link and ask questions. So that's enough, you know, I mean, I don't know why you would do that in a Zoom session, but if it's face-to-face, that is a great way to get audience participation in a class where you're face-to-face, that you can have them go to that particular slides and URL. And one of the nice things about it is they can ask questions and they can vote the questions up and down. So you may want to do this like a muddiest point type thing, you know, have everybody ask a question and then vote, and the questions start moving up and down. So, yeah. So just kind of a gee whiz thing. So as far as slide ideas, one is just do a normal presentation, right? With your slide presentation, just do it as you would normally do it. Another way is doing like this, where you're not in presenter mode, but you're in edit mode. And that way you can capture input from students, right? Kind of brainstorming session, things like that. That is a powerful way to do it. So you do it as a draft. There's one that I will try to show you that is a little different. So here I am on the screen. One of the options you have where you have your start and stop video is you have a little arrow next to it, and you can choose a virtual background. And unfortunately, I don't have the video card, so it does it nice and clean. And so it's going to come up very messy. But you've probably seen in Zoom sessions where folks have a nice, beautiful background, you know, swinging palm trees and stuff. They're not on the beach, trust me. But they're showing that screen. But you can show you can take like a Google Slides or a PowerPoint presentation and export the images and use an image as your backdrop. So perhaps, you know, you've got 4 things that you want to talk about, and you don't necessarily want to flip through slides and stuff like that. You just want to talk about those 4 things. So you can set that as a virtual backdrop. And warning, this will probably not go well, but we'll try. So as you can see, I have that bar here. So if I move over here, you know, I may have that slide where I'm on one side and I have that information on the other slide, But as you can see, I don't have the right light. I don't have a green screen. I don't have things. So it's not coming across like I want, but it gives you the idea of what possibly could happen, you know, with the slide. So let me go back to normal. Whew. Sorry about that. So what else do we have? So let me ask this question. I lost my slide deck. So in the chat, very simple. Do you share your slide decks with your students? Yes or no? And if you do, when do you share it? And how do you share it? So yes, yes. We have a lot of yeses so far. So the beginning of the semester on Blackboard is Google Docs, so you get those loaded into all your classes. So before class on Blackboard, posted, tests. Now Tess, you sent that to me privately, saying nay. So available to Blackboard, available during class. So Kenton, do you give them a physical or digital copy that they can take notes on, things like that?
I think in the fall I'm going to ask that they all have notebooks, so they'll be physically taking notes from the slides that I provide. That's my plan, and I will record the Zoom sessions like you do. So if a student misses the day, that they can see that Zoom session.
Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. So for the majority of you, you're actually sharing the slides. So, as far as, I mean, there's a lot of discussion why you would do that, why you won't. Some folks are worried that, well, they won't attend the lecture because they have the slides. And I guess that's really how you build your slide presentations, to do it. But I just want them to learn the content. I don't necessarily, for me, philosophically, I don't care how they learn it. As long as in the end they get it. So that's why I share everything. I'm very open. It's like, here, take it all. I don't care. I think the power of an instructor is being that guide. In order to do that. So John Keating asks a great question in here. Do you need permission from the students to record a class? I don't know. So if I'm recording I've never asked your guys' permission to record you guys, and we're just doing it. I suppose if somebody complained, I can always take that video down and not share it, or make it unlisted. But I have links out on the web that shares out to this. You can ask your students, if this is going to be value added, if someone does that, but I've never approached it, and if I put it, for a class, if I'm putting it up on YouTube for a class, then I will typically do it unlisted. So that way, only if you have the link, you'll be able to see it. So they wouldn't be able to search for it on YouTube and find it. It's only if they have a link. So that may be an in-between thing to do it. So I don't have a good answer for you. I am an open guy. I think education, learning is very open, and so I'm probably the absolute worst person to do that. So as far as, so April does not record hers, talk about sensitive topics that and those are exactly the reasons why you may or may not want to record it, depending on what topics that you're covering. So totally in agreement. So it's about the norms of the school, okay? And Vince, Thank you for your input. One party needs to know recording is being made. PA, everybody has to be aware. So good point. And for online, we have people potentially all over the world. So how does that fit? You know, I know with the rules for Europe in dealing with social media, if somebody wants it taken down, you have to take it down. So that's always a player in there. So if you're sharing your slide decks with your students, you know, different strategies. Some share it before, some share it after, some share it right as the class is starting. If you share it before, you share your presentation before, one, they have an opportunity to go through it, and you can encourage that to have them go through it, so they may already form questions for when they come to class, right? So they may be, you know, a little bit more savvy on what's going to happen and be able to ask questions. They also have it available where they could take, you know, add notes and be able to do that. But if you have surprises, you know, as part of your slide deck, make sure to take those out before you give a copy to your students, so they don't have those cool surprises that you have weaved in there. So cool. Let's see what else we got here. Students always ask if they can record lectures. So can students record for themselves? It is a setting in Zoom that you would have to turn on, that they have the ability to record that session. So they can do that. Okay, so here, one of the things I want to share actually is a video, right? This talks about all, you know, like the different sharing things. This happens to be, hopefully this is not the commercial, but this happens, it's not a very long video, but it'll show you different ways to share. But probably the most important thing is when you are sharing a video. So I would share my screen just as I would normally share my screen, but down in the bottom part of that share window, it says share computer sound, right? And that will allow them to hear the audio for that presentation. So I'm going to share this video. I'm going to make it full screen, and I'm going to play. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. And in the chat, Control Alt H, if you have problems hearing it, let me know.
You'll learn how to share content within a Zoom meeting. Simply select Share Screen at the bottom of your meeting window to get started. From here, you'll be given various options for sharing, such as sharing your full desktop or an individual application you have open on your computer. You can also access advanced sharing options and the ability to share an individual file from a specific location as well. If you're planning to share content that contains audio, such as a third-party video, be sure to select Share Computer Sound in the bottom left-hand corner to ensure that your participants can hear your computer sound as you're sharing. When you're ready, select Share on the right-hand side. Once content sharing begins, you can always stop the share to stop sharing content with others at any time. If you need to pause the share to take a momentary break or prepare other materials, this is an option as well. Or if you'd like to share a new piece of content, you can simply select New Share and select another piece of content for a seamless transition.
All right, was that clear as mud? Everybody kind of figured that out? I actually learned two things while I was just watching that little video again. The fact that you can pause your share so you can switch things up. I didn't know that. And the other one that you can switch what you're sharing in midstream instead of stopping. I didn't know that either. So I'm glad I attended this presentation at least. So I learned something. So, you know, the difference between sharing your application and your desktop, that if you are going to open multiple applications and switch between applications, it could be, you know, like Bill Lasher, he's doing accounting. He may be showing a PowerPoint presentation, but then switches to Quicken, you know, and being able to do those things, then I would recommend just sharing your screen. But if you share your screen, all those little things happen. Like today, I was in a meeting and they were sharing their screen, and all of a sudden a pop-up, a notification for their email popped up right in the, you know, the presentation. It's like that one, that's why I turn notifications off so I don't see those things. But, you know, there was what I would say probably a little bit confidential information in that little pop-up, you know, so a little unfortunate, but so those are reasons, you know, kind of reasons that you don't want to do that. But now that I know that I could switch on the fly, that's kind of cool. And like, you know, like I said, if in doubt, just stop sharing, recompose, figure out what you want to share, and share it again. All right, so real quickly, let me tell you, you know, about like sharing your iPad. One of the options is you can share your iPhone or iPad. Now, according to the instructions for that particular page, it says that I have to be on the same network. Well, my iPad is on a Wi-Fi. My computer is wired. So in essence, we were not on the same network. And I found out that having your, you know, Apple cable connected into your computer allows you to then be able to share. So the process for sharing this is when I'm in the into the application, in the upper right hand corner, if I grab that and pull it down, it gives me a little control panel window. And I'll kind of show you that I can now show you. And I'm able to click on screen mirroring. And then I have to select my application. So the step before here was this little box here said screen mirroring. And when I clicked on that, okay, I can't click on my computer. I have to touch the iPad. This is important here. Then I select what it tells me on the screen, on the main screen. It tells me to select Zoom stands, you know, iPad basically. And from there, now I can show whatever I want on the particular iPad. You know, if I want to, hey, let's work on a Sudoku puzzle together, we can do that. But I can show, you know, various applications. So here, for example, is, I lost it. Penultimate. You know, and my scribbles as I was doing this. So I have a stylus that I can use, and I used that and shared that on the screen. So. Okay. So that is, you know, that's an external application that I could share. There is an option for, you know, an Elmo or a document camera that you can also share. I don't have one. unfortunately, but I would be able to show how to share that. I probably should. This will actually, and we'll probably show it. Let me share this again. Whoops. So if I pull up my iPad, and get a stand or something like that, I can actually use this as a document camera, and it works quite nifty. You can do this with your iPhone, and have different capabilities. So different ways of sharing and presenting. Yeah, that is it. Let's see, and I have one link to share, so I'll just share that as kind of a going away present. If you want to create virtual screens from your slides, I'll throw this in the chat. And share that with you. So how to create your own virtual backgrounds, if that happens to work. So if you've tried virtual backgrounds and you're experimenting with them, you may be able to do that from things that you create, and that'll walk you through. That'll show it to you. So does Android work? Honestly, I don't know. I haven't dug that far into what all the different devices that I can share. So I will work on that and get back with you on how to do that. So, but right now I don't have an answer, because I think you have to install some different software in order to pull it off. So I'll figure that out. Kenton.
So you said something about if you're teaching distance learning in the fall, that you would get a Zoom license.
Yeah, pro account.
Yeah, pro account. I'm just wondering if when should I be looking for that?
Between now and the start of class. Yeah. So right now, I have a request in to get 40 more licenses. That'll bring me up to 170 plus, I think, 40 licenses that Corey has. So, but the business office, asked if I could track down an invoice as opposed to their credit card. Apparently, they're feeling a little grumpy that I have that much money on it and nobody else can use it. So, so I'm working on that. So, and right now we're also have to get Zoom licenses to connect the different flex classrooms. So a lot of moving parts, but I was hoping to have it done today, but Zoom hasn't got back to me. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure. So yeah, that was kind of like showing you all kinds of different ways to share. What questions do you guys have before I cut you loose? You guys you got it? Oh man, I'm awesome. So no questions.
Stan, it's Amber. I had asked in the, I didn't raise my hand, sorry.
That's okay.
I had asked in the chat, we were having a math meeting today, and one of the questions that came up was if I put the students in groups and they say one of the students shares their whiteboard with their group, can other students then, can they all work together on that same whiteboard?
That is a good question. Let's find out. I'm going to throw you all, Amber, you're going to run a whiteboard. and then
Oh.
somebody else jumps on and tries to write on the whiteboard. So I'm sending you automatically, all of you, into one room.
Okay.
Enjoy.
So can anybody else write on my whiteboard? Oh, all
But
right.
that was me.
Oh, well, there's multiple colors here, so,
Well, that's not all me. So I'm thinking yes.
okay, good.
All right.
Well,
Problem.
where are
I like
people
this
going
idea.
to write?
Sorry?
Where are you going to get the pencil to write?
Yes, same question.
Do you have a so up at the top you have hold on, let me see. You'll up at the top you should see a green bar saying you are viewing Amber's screen,
Okay.
and you have view options. So you will select from that view options annotate.
Got it. Oh,
And there's a whole separate Zoom on annotating, isn't there, right?
Yeah, that's next week.
Thanks.
We'll
I'll
be
hold
blowing
off.
things up that way. You know, it'll be chaos like this one was.
okay.
Well, that's kind of cool though.
So Bob, you want to share what your discovery?
I just tapped on my iPad and got the pen to come up real quick.
Very cool. Isn't this great? We just playing, you know, immediately the fun comes out. All right, so I have one more. I just want to show you this because I think it's cool. So I'm gonna kick you out of the room, and welcome back. Okay, I'm back with us. Things are coming on my screen saying they can't hear you. Quit talking. I'm going to share my screen once again, and I want to show you a pretty cool tool that you have available to you in your student application. So let me pull up a incognito window, go to Google Drive, log in with my student stuff. Other folks are not getting this information because they were not here today. So the Google applications, you have all kinds of great applications at your disposal. And one of the applications that you have available is called Jamboard. Okay. So I am going to create a Jamboard session. And I am going to share it with you guys. So I'm going to use Kenton's advice and just copy the link. I know I'm busting Ken. And make you an editor on it, I guess. And in your chat, I am going to share that with you. And I would love it if you could go there, because I think this is like a very cool tool. So this is kind of a whiteboard. So one of the things is I can create a sticky, right? So this is my idea, right? And I can post that up there. But other folks can also post things on there. So you can draw on it, right? You can do those kind of things. You can actually draw on it, but you can also use it maybe for brainstorming in your class, that you can create a, have a kind of a mass class where everybody is posting a sticky. So everybody that's in there, just go ahead and grab a sticky and throw it up on the board. Right, sticky note. Right. This is a Google app. Yes. It's called Jamboard. And I could then title this, I can share it, other people can go over and view it later. Just different ways that you can, kind of play with this. But you can use this kind of a brainstorming thing, or, yeah, I haven't even figured out all the uses for it. But, if you wanted to, you could kind of, there's other tools that you can use, a mind map, but, you could set this up as a mind map also, and, talk about different parts. So, okay. So called Jamboard. Alrighty, folks. I'm out of ideas. We have 4 minutes left. What questions do you have for me? Really, it's up to your imagination. You can bring up different tools. Like I said, bring up a mind mapping tool. You can show that, share things, map things out. Anything that you can share on your computer that you would share in your classroom, the odds are that you can probably share it here and be able to use those tools. So, okay. Okay, we answered Amber's question, so that's it. I think we're golden now. So, all right, folks. I'm going to cut you loose. You enjoy those last 3 minutes, so don't go crazy with them.